The novel opens with a breaking news report on television. A boy who had been held captive for 12 years has finally been rescued. He was a victim of kidnapping, imprisonment, and forced labor at the hands of a man known as Mr. P. The boy, later revealed to be the protagonist, had both hearing and speech impairments, something Mr. P had known beforehand, making him an easy target. When the police arrived at the scene, they found him in a warehouse overflowing with books. His severe injuries suggested prolonged suffering, prompting authorities to rush him to the hospital for immediate care. It is later revealed that his name is Shin Woo-jin, an 18-year-old young man. The attending female doctor is taken aback by his striking features. Upon examining him, she confirms his hearing loss and, to assess his cognitive state, writes a question on a notepad asking for his name. His unexpected response, calling himself a son of a bitch, leaves the medical staff in shock. The story then flashes back to Woo-jin's past, showing him sitting on the floor, eating rice while enduring harsh treatment. Cold and starving, he desperately eats a cockroach crawling on one of the books to ease his hunger. The doctor, upon noticing the countless scars on his body, wonders just how much pain he had to endure. Later, the doctors inform Woo-jin that his test results aren't alarming and that he is safe in the hospital. However, as soon as they leave, a flood of reporters swarms the area, bombarding the medical staff and security with questions about Woo-jin. Frustrated, the doctor warns them that if they do not leave immediately, she will report them for trespassing. Meanwhile, Woo-jin lies on his bed, mentally naming objects around him as they come into focus. His attention is drawn to an older man across the room, and instinctively he begins analyzing him. His diagnosis, height, weight, body marks, accessories, and relationships. Using these observations, he pieces together the cause of the man's injuries and determines the best first aid response. Just as he reaches a conclusion, the doctor returns, asking if he had slept well and whether he was hungry. Woo-jin shifts his focus to her face, scrutinizing her expression. He determines that her smile is genuine and, reassured that she poses no threat, accepts the food. As soon as he takes a bite, he is overwhelmed by the taste, devouring it ravenously. Watching him eat with such desperation, the doctor wonders what kind of hell he must have endured. As she voices her concern, her phone rings. It's Woo-jin's family. She informs him of the call, and though his hearing is impaired, he manages to make out her words. After she leaves the room, he glances at the clock, calculating that his parents will arrive in exactly 1 minute and 22 seconds. As their footsteps echo in his mind, the sound grows louder, intensifying his anxiety. The moment his family enters, they rush toward him, embracing him and apologizing profusely. But instead of comfort, their presence only amplifies the pain in his head, causing him to moan in distress. In the next scene, we are introduced to Woo-jin's sister. She worries that meeting her brother after so long might be awkward, but despite her concerns, she still misses him and feels relieved that he's okay. Just then, as if on cue, the family returns home with Woo-jin. The long-awaited reunion finally happens. Bomi tries to welcome him warmly, but Woo-jin is too preoccupied, his eyes scanning the house and the framed photos on the walls. Their father, sensing the tension, steps in to ease Woo-jin's discomfort and shows him to his room. Their parents then suggest that Woo-jin and Bomi go together, which is when we officially learn her name. As they enter the room, the awkwardness between them is almost palpable. Woo-jin silently observes the space, mentally naming each item, slowly coming to the realization that this is his room. Bomi calls out to him, but when he turns to look at her, she finds herself taken aback by how handsome he is. Sweet home Alabama. Shaking off her thoughts, she offers to help him learn how to use a phone. Woo-jin, however, insists that he's fine on his own. This response disheartens Bomi, and she gently tells him that he doesn't have to be so formal with her. When Woo-jin powers on the phone, he is mesmerized by the technology. As Bomi tells him her number, she notices how effortlessly he types and immediately questions whether this is really his first time using a phone. Next, Bomi shows him how to search the internet. When it's Woo-jin's turn, the first word he searches is family. As he stares at the images on the screen, he seems to drift into a daze. After a moment, he looks at Bomi and softly calls her family and sister. Bomi smiles and reassures him, "That's right, family." Their conversation is interrupted when Woo-jin suddenly catches a scent. It's perfume. Or so he thinks. His mind instantly starts racing, recalling the origins of perfume and how it's made. Without thinking, he blurts out, "Good smell," startling Bomi. Then, as if drawn by instinct, he follows the scent like a mindless zombie, only to realize it isn't perfume at all, but food. Their father had prepared kimchi stew. Calling them over, he tells them to sit down and eat. The family gathers at the table, enjoying the meal together. Suddenly, we cut to a dimly lit interrogation room. A shady-looking man sits across from an investigator who stares him down. The investigator leans forward, his voice cold. "Your family died one by one, each year. Your wife, dead. Your mother, dead. Your sister-in-law, dead. 2 of your neighbors, dead." He narrows his eyes. "Are you seriously telling me it wasn't you?" The man, identified as Mr. P, shakes his head. "It wasn't me." The investigator slams his fist on the table. "All those deaths happened around you. Who else could it be?" Mr. P's expression darkens. His voice rises, almost frantic. "You don't understand. It was that bastard." A flashback takes us to a dimly lit warehouse. Woo-jin sits alone, engrossed in a book about autopsies. Back in the interrogation room, Mr. P clenches his fists and yells, "It was that damn bastard!" The next scene takes us to Woo-jin's home, where we see him engrossed in his phone. As he scrolls, he recalls Bomi mentioning a popular app people use to watch videos. Curious, he opens it and is immediately amazed by the sheer number of videos available. The first video he watches is a vlog. What catches his attention is when the vlogger mentions family. The next video is a mukbang featuring 2 girls eating tteokbokki. The sight of the food makes Woo-jin's mouth water, craving it instantly. Just then, a knock on the door interrupts him. When he opens it, Bomi stands there. Expecting her to ask for help with cleaning, Woo-jin preemptively asks, "What do you need me for?" However, Bomi quickly shuts that idea down, telling him he doesn't have to do anything. Instead, she suggests they go out for ice cream. Before leaving, they inform their parents they'll be back, then head to the store. As soon as Woo-jin steps inside, his mind is blown. His awe doesn't fade. If anything, it intensifies. "Wow," he repeats over and over, like a broken record. Bomi, amused but impatient, urges him to hurry up and choose a flavor. When he struggles to decide, overwhelmed by all the choices, she steps in to help. After a brief debate, she also decides to pay. As they leave the store, 3 girls sitting at a nearby table take notice of Woo-jin. They can't help but gush about how handsome he is. Their curiosity shifts to Bomi, wondering if she's his girlfriend. Hearing this, Bomi smirks mischievously and offers to help Woo-jin open his ice cream. He looks at it in admiration before taking a bite. The moment the ice cream hits his tongue, his eyes widen, and his entire body freezes. "Licious," he mumbles. "What did you say?" Bomi asks. Suddenly, Woo-jin bursts out, "It's delicious," and starts devouring the ice cream with enthusiasm. The girls watch in stunned silence as he frantically licks his treat, prompting Bomi to scold him. "Slow down," she says, half laughing. Then Oppa suggests taking a picture, and after snapping one, they begin their walk home. Along the way, Bomi sends the picture to a group chat, and messages flood in, mostly commenting on Woo-jin's looks. As she types, Woo-jin suddenly stops in his tracks. His eyes scan the area. locking on to a suspicious man across the street. The man is lurking, his gaze fixed on Bomi. His eyes linger on her legs, her body, and her hair, like a predator watching its prey. Woo-jin instantly assesses him. His own family didn't recognize him earlier, which means this man is a complete stranger. Sensing Woo-jin's stare, the man abruptly turns and walks away in a panic. But Woo-jin doesn't let it go. He notices pedal marks on the man's shoes, not wide enough for a bicycle, meaning they likely belong to a motorcycle. There's mud on them too, even though their neighborhood has none. Woo-jin quickly pinpoints a possible location based on the dirt. Breaking the silence, he calls Bomi's name. She looks at him, puzzled. "Why are you just standing there? What's wrong?" Woo-jin's expression hardens. "Go inside first," he says bluntly. Bomi, confused, asks, "What's wrong?" Woo-jin repeats himself, his tone firm. "Go inside first," Bomi protests. "It's too late at night. If I go in alone, I'll get scolded." Instead of leaving him behind, she grabs his arm and pulls him along, and they walk together. The scene then shifts to Woo-jin staring out of a window. A deep, demonic voice echoes in the background.
"I'll protect my family. Stay out of it."
"This is my family," Woo-jin responds. The voice sneers.
"Calling the police. Is that what you call protecting your family?"
"There are many ways to protect," Woo-jin counters. "You're a monster who can't even adapt to this world."
"I did what I had to do to survive. You would have died a long time ago."
Woo-jin clenches his jaw. "I would have survived on my own. You shouldn't exist, you monster." The demon laughs darkly.
"Monsters? Then what the hell are you?"
The reflection in the window shifts, revealing a twisted version of Woo-jin, his own face, but with a sinister expression. "I'm the master of this body," Woo-jin declares. "You're just a persona." The demon smirks.
"This is my body."
Woo-jin, unfazed, explains, "You feed off my worry and anxiety. The more I doubt myself, the more control you gain. But now I've learned to summon you at will, to maximize my knowledge. You're a beast, but if I use you correctly, that changes everything." A dark aura radiates as Woo-jin embraces the monster within. The demon's eyes snap open, ready to act. The scene shifts. Rain pours as Woo-jin steps onto the street. Across from him, a strange man stands under an umbrella. Woo-jin walks past him, seemingly uninterested, but then in a quiet, almost poetic tone, he speaks. Even hiding human presence can be called rain. The man stiffens. "What? Who are you?" Woo-jin stops, his gaze piercing. "I'm hurt." He tilts his head slightly. "I know you well." Woo-jin lists details about the strange guy with eerie accuracy. "You had jjajangmyeon for lunch. You work as a delivery person. You ride your motorcycle over hills." Woo-jin steps closer. "And," he adds, glancing at the man's sleeve, "there's cat hair on you. You killed a cat." The man's eyes widened in shock, and his breath hitches. Woo-jin calmly pushes a strand of hair back. A malicious smile creeps onto his lips. "Me?" Bam! Woo-jin punches him, sending him crashing to the ground. The man looks up, dazed, only to see Woo-jin ripping his shirt open, revealing countless scars. The man stares, speechless. Woo-jin crouches down, his face inches away.
"Don't let me see you again,"
he warns, voice low and menacing.
"If I do, these scars,
He smirks.
they'll be carved into your body."
The man scrambles backward in terror.
"If you understand,"
Woo-jin says, standing tall.
"then get lost."
Without hesitation, the man bolts, running away faster than my dad going out for milk. Woo-jin remains still, tilting his head up as raindrops fall against his face. "The rain sounds nice," he murmurs. One day after the incident, Woo-jin enjoys a meal with his family. The day after, Woo-jin and Bomi go shopping and grab food. The third day, they watched a movie together. On the fourth day, Bomi and Woo-jin sit in Woo-jin's room doing homework. Woo-jin barely glances at the assignment before scribbling down answers. Bomi frowns. At least read the questions first. I already did, Woo-jin replies casually. She raises an eyebrow and checks his work, expecting mistakes, but every answer is correct. Shocked, she tests him with another assignment. Woo-jin repeats the process, solving everything effortlessly. Bomi takes the homework and goes to check again. "Day back," Bomi exclaims. "You're a genius," Woo-jin shakes his head. "I'm not a genius. I just want to be ordinary." "What do you mean?" Woo-jin's gaze darkens slightly. Being ordinary must be difficult. A sudden flashback is shown, Mr. P's hand striking Woo-jin's face. Another scene shows Woo-jin cleaning a toilet with a chain on his neck. And then Woo-jin sits in a dark room, freezing, surrounded by books. The memory fades, leaving Woo-jin staring at Bomi. Her expression softens. "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" Woo-jin studies her face, noting the sadness in her eyes. He stands up, pats her head gently, and says, "Don't be sad." Then he walks to his desk and starts writing. Bomi watches curiously. "What are you writing?" Woo-jin finishes and hands her the paper. As she reads, her eyes widen in awe. What could be on the paper that left Bomi in awe? The answer lies ahead. Stay tuned for part 3.